אחי מז קדימה, הלב רוצה להיות שמח, להגיד תודה וכמה טוב, כל יום אוי אוי. אחי מז קדימה, לא לאבד את האמונה, לחיות כל רגע להבין שטוב, כל יום אוי 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 אוי. תראו בסוף, זה משתלם, זה הדבר הכי שלם, להיות אדם לבחור בטוב.
Welcome back to another class on Dalad Amot shel Halacha. In Kadosh Baruch Hu be'olam ela arba Amot shel Halacha belvad. We are continuing in Siman Reish Tzadik Tet in Halacha Yud. This will be part 2 of the Shiur. We're going to try to do today the Mishnah Beruros. In Siv Katan Lamed Bet, the Mishnah Berur references to when the Shulchan Aruch said, Asur lasos shum malacha kodem sheyavdil, that it is forbidden for a person to do any form of malacha before he does Havdalah. The Mishnah Berur says, Va'afilu chafatzim ha'asurim midivri sofrim, even things which are forbidden from the rabbis, you're not allowed to do before you do Havdalah on Motzi Shabbat. Continues the Mishnah Berurah Sivkat Lamed Gimel, Kodem Sheyavdil, before you do the Havdalah, Hainu, which means to say, Afil Mishtechashach, even if it's already dark outside, you would have thought maybe that since the 3 stars came out and it's completely dark outside, I'm allowed to go ahead and do Malacha. The Shulchan Aruch tells you, absolutely not. You still cannot do any form of Malacha even after it gets dark outside. Why is that? Kevan shelo hivdil adain, since you didn't do Havdalah, chal b'miktzat kiddush Shabbat alav, a little bit of the sanctity of Shabbat falls on him, ve'asru chazal b'malacha, and the Chachamim made it forbidden to doing any form of work. So when the Shulchan Aruch tells us over here that asur lasos shum malacha kodem sheyavdil, that it is forbidden for a person to do any form of malacha before he does Havdalah, which kind of malacha you cannot do, even rabbinical. Not only malachot that are from the Torah, but even rabbinical malachot you're not allowed to do, meaning rabbinical things you're not allowed to do before you do the Havdalah. What's the novelty? Because even if it's already dark, you would have thought, I'm allowed to go ahead and do malacha. The Shulchan Aruch tells you, nope, you cannot do any malacha until you do Havdalah. Why am I not able to do malacha even after it got dark? Since technically Shabbat is already out. So the Mishnah Berurah explained, since you didn't do the Havdalah, you basically did not separate the Kiddusha, the sanctity, from yourself. So therefore the Kiddusha Shabbat is still on you. And that's what the Chachamim, the Rabbi said, you're not allowed to do any malacha until you do Havdalah on Motzi Shabbat. Siv Kodan Lamed Daled, Omer HaMavdil. If we look back into the Shulchan Aruch says, V'im hivdil b'tefillah. What happens if a person went ahead and he made Havdalah in the Shemona Esrei? Like we explained in yesterday's class, he said, Ata chonontanu in the bracha of Ata chonein. Mutar afapi shadayin lo hivdil ala kos. He's allowed to do malacha, even though he didn't do Havdalah on a cup of wine. V'im tzarich la'asot malacha kodem she'avdil b'tefillah. What happens if a person really needs to do work before he's able to go ahead and do Havdalah in the Shemona Esrei? The Shulchan Aruch says, Omer hamavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol belo bracha v'oseh malacha. Let him say, Baruch hamavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol, without Hashem's name, and then let him do malacha. So the Mishnah Berurah says, what does it mean, Omer hamavdil? Belevush isam, it says in the levush, Omer hamavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol. You should say, Baruch hamavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol. Nevertheless, by you saying Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh l'chol, that's not considered to be a bracha. What is the novelty? I would have thought to say, by me saying Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh l'chol, maybe I already did my Havdalah, and if I'm going to look at it as a bracha, who says I'm allowed to go ahead now and do the Havdalah on the kos shel yain? Who says I'm allowed to do it? Maybe I already blessed. No, the Levush says no, that's not considered to be a bracha. Why? Since you don't say over there Hashem's name and His kingship, you don't say over there Ata Hashem Elkeinu Melech HaOlam. Since you didn't say it, this is not considered to be a blessing, the words of Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh L'chol, now you're allowed to go ahead and even do the Havdalah on the kos shel yain. And this that it's enough with this expression in order to allow you to go ahead and do malacha. Why is it that by me saying the words Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh L'chol allow me to work? So he says, because that's only as a mere recognition, it's only as a recognition that I am simply just escorting the king, meaning to say that I'm separating Shabbat from the mundane. By me doing that, that's going to allow me to go ahead and now do malacha. That's what the Mishnah says. And this, what it's enough with this expression by saying Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh L'chol in regards to doing malacha. Why is that? Because that's like a mere recognition to escort the king, meaning the Shabbat. So once I escort the Shabbat, that's going to allow me to go ahead and do malacha. Siv Katan Lamed Hey. We said in the Shulchan Aruch that you should say Baruch HaMavdil ben HaKodesh uben HaChol. So it tells you in Siv Katan Lamed Hey, Ve'en tzarich lomar kol halashon shel Havdalah. You don't need to say the whole expression of the blessing of the Havdalah. Meaning like this. Usually when you say the Havdalah, you say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu melech olam hamavdil ben kodesh l'chol uven or lechoshech uven sel amim uven yom hashemi l'shesh yom ha'maseh bereshit Baruch Ata Hashem hamavdil ben kodesh l'chol. You don't have to go through that whole expression. It is enough for you to say Baruch hamavdil ben kodesh l'chol, and then you're allowed to go ahead and do malacha. Umikol makom, nevertheless, continues the Mishnah and he says, le'inyan achila, but when it comes to eating, lo mehani, it's not going to help you. This that you say Baruch hamavdil ben kodesh l'chol, ad sheyavdil havdalah gimura, until you're going to go ahead and you're going to do a complete havdalah al hakos and a cup of wine. V'gam b'tefillah, and also you have to go ahead and you have to do the havdalah in the tefillah. Very important halacha. Well, I want to show you this actually inside in Siman Reish Tzadik Dalet. If you didn't do the Shemona Esrei, you're not allowed to eat even if you do the havdalah on the kos shel yain. I'll explain to you what I mean. Look into what the Shari Tziyun says. He says this in the name of the Achronim, that we require you to do the havdalah in the tefillah, and then we also require you to do the havdalah on the kos shel yain, and only then can you eat. So the Shari Tziyun says in Od Memvav, he brings it down in the name of the Achronim, but he says, Imlo, unless he says, Shidpalel Yudam Shemona Esrei, V'shahach lahavdil, but you forgot to do havdalah in the Shemona Esrei, the as died because of what? In that case, we're going to tell you that it's enough for you to do it on a cup of wine alone. You can go ahead and do the havdalah on the kos shel yain alone. V'keneitu la'el, b'siman Reish Tzadik Dalet, like it's brought down, like it's written above, in page 2, in Siman 294. Let's go see over there, Siman 294, Halacha Aleph. He says like this, Omrim havdalah b'chonen hada'at. The Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Reish Tzadik Dalet, Halacha Aleph, we say havdalah in the blessing of chonen hada'at, right? The atachon notanu blessing. V'im ta'a v'lo hivdil. What happens if a person made a mistake and he didn't do havdalah in the Shemona Esrei? You said Baruch Ata Hashem chonen hada'at, and you hear somebody screaming out atachon notanu. What do you do now? Continues the Shulchan Aruch and it tells you mashlim tifilato, complete your prayer. Ve'enu chozer, and don't go back. Because you have to go ahead and you have to do the havdalah on a cup of wine. So that's what the Shari Tziyun was telling you over there, that technically we want you, meaning not the lechatchila, we want you to do it, we want you to do the havdalah on the kos and on the Shemona Esrei. One more time. Let's put it the proper way. Technically, lechatchila, we want you to do havdalah inside the Shemona Esrei by saying atachon notanu, but then we want you to go ahead and do the havdalah on the kos shel yain in order to allow you to eat. But what happens if I daven Shemona Esrei and I forgot that I didn't say atachon notanu? No problem. Continue davening Shemona Esrei. When you finish, you still have what to rely on the kos shel Yain. You can do Havdalah on this. But when is all this? That's when I forgot. However, he says over here, V'im ta'a kodem shivdil ala kos. Oh, one second. Okay. He just continues halacha. So, all right, one second. Let me just do this because I added too much right now. I shouldn't have said all this. Shh. Yeah. Let me just read the halacha for you and then we'll go back. V'im ta'a v'lo hivdil. If a person made a mistake and he didn't do havdalah, mashlim tifilto ve'ein choseh. He should complete his prayer and he shouldn't go back. Because you need to do havdalah on a cup of wine. V'im ta'am kodem shivdil ala kos. What happens if a person in this situation where he forgot to do the atachon and tanu in Shomno Esrei, and now he went home, before he was able to do the havdalah on the kos shel yain, he went and he ate something. He tasted something. Tzarich lachzor ulahavdil b'tefillah. You have to go back now and daven Shomno Esrei once again. He brings down reading the Tiyunim. He says over here, Chacham Avad brings down, Ve'anachon, the correct thing should be, Shelefnei sheyachzor litpalel, yomar she'im eni chayav litpalel, tiyeh tefillah zol l'nidava. He says, and the correct thing should be that before you're going to go and daven the tefillah of Aravit, you should say that if I am not obligated to daven this prayer, let this prayer be a voluntary prayer to Hashem. But we see clearly from over here how careful a person has to be. Just because a person thinks that he goes home and he does the havdalah on the cup of wine, that alone will not allow you to eat. Like the Shulchan Aruch says, we first want you to do atachon untanu inside the tefillah. Then we want you to do it on the kos shel yain. Afterwards, you're allowed to eat. A person, you're going to tell me, if a person is going to say, I'm not going to daven, I'm only going to do kos shel havdalah, no, we're going to make him go back and daven Shomno Esrei. Just like we're in the same scenario over here. A person that went ahead and he davened Shomno Esrei and he forgot. Over there we're going to be lenient just in that case where he made a mistake by accident, not intentionally, he didn't want to daven. Where by accident he davened Shomno Esrei, he forgot to say atachon u'tan inside the Shomno Esrei. Sincerely he forgot what he wanted to do. People forget. Now we're going to tell, listen, complete the prayer, you still have the kos shel havdalah. On that you can go ahead and make it up, the havdalah on that. Don't worry about it. But what happens if by the time when he came home and now he was going to do havdalah, he ate something or he drank something before saying the havdalah on the kos shel yain? Now the Shulchan Aruch tells him, we're going to tell him to go back and repeat the whole Shomno Esrei again. So this is this, Rabotai. So let's go back to our Siman Reish Tzadik Tet. So, one more time, Sivkat Lamed Hey. Ve'en tzarich lomar kol haloshon shel havdalah. You don't need to say the whole expression of the havdalah. You don't have to say the whole bracha. It's enough by you saying Baruch HaMavdil ben kodesh lechol. U'mikol makom, nevertheless, le'inyan achila, when it comes to eating, lo mehani ad sheyavdil havdalah gimura al hakos ve'gam b'tifilah. It's not going to help you that you're allowed to go ahead and eat. One is going to help you to eat until you do a complete havdalah on a cup of wine, and also if you went ahead and you davened Shomno Esrei and you said atachon u'tanu inside there, you have to do two things to allow you to eat. Came the Shartian and he said that's only the case in that's the lechatchila way. But what happens if a person forgot to do havdalah inside the Shomno Esrei? Then we're going to tell him then the cup is alone. You don't need to go back and daven. But we saw in Siman Reish Tzadik Dal and Halacha Aleph that when you came home, if you ate something before doing havdalah, the Chacham are going to make a penalty and they're going to tell you, go back and daven again the Shomno Esrei. But over here, Sonia, how are you? Muchas gracias, Sonia. But over here, we're going to tell you in this case, according to Chacham Ovadia, make a tanai, make a condition that if you're not obligated in this Shomno Esrei, that let it be only a voluntary prayer. Fine. Now we are continuing in Siman, in Sivkat Lamed Vav. Below bracha, right? We said in the Shulchan Aruch that if a person wants to do malacha before he does havdalah in the Shomno Esrei, he should say hamavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol below bracha, like we explained. Ve'oseh malacha, and he's allowed to go ahead and he's allowed to do malacha. So the Mishnah tells you below bracha v'chulu. What is going to happen if now we're dealing on Yom Tov? Over here we're speaking about Moti Shabbat comes out, right? It's a regular Saturday night. So good. So you're going to say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh lechol, right? Blessed is Hashem that He separates the holy day from the mundane day, and you're allowed to continue to do the malacha. But what happens right now if it's Yom Tov? Very, very important halacha. Right now, Saturday night Yom Tov came out, which a lot of times does happen. And it's not that you're going from one Yom Tov to the next Yom Tov. No. Shabbat is Shabbat. Saturday night is Yom Tov. What do you do there now? The Mishnah is going to tell us right now in Sikhat Lamed Vav. What do you have to do? You have to say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh. This is very important for women to know, especially women. He's going to be speaking about over here a guy, but we'll see it also applies to a woman. Why? Because a woman will see, in the following shur, they don't daven Aravit. If they don't daven Aravit, how do you want them to do Havdalah? So until the husband comes home, he comes, let's say, 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the Shabbat is already out, but it's already Yom Tov. So the women want to get prepared. They want to start doing things. But how can they do things in the house? Like they want to start cooking, they want to start turning on the fire, and so on and so forth, right? From fire to fire, and so on and so forth. How are they going to be allowed to do it if they didn't do Havdalah yet? So therefore the husband has to make sure that they educate the woman to say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh. Or they're going to have to wait until the husband comes home from shul. When he's going to do the Kiddush of Yom Tov, inside the Kiddush of Yom Tov, over there he's going to say V'tadu'enu. There's Havdalah inside the Kiddush of Yom Tov that's going to separate Shabbat from Shabbat into Yom Tov. That's what we say over there, Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh, and not Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh lechol. So the Mishnah says in Sivkat and Lamed Vav, U'b'Yom Tov shechal b'Motzi Shabbat, and Yom Tov which fell out on Motzi Shabbat, v'rotzeh la'asot melechet ochel nefesh, and you want to go ahead and you want to do malacha, which is for one's soul, meaning you're allowed to cook. On Yom Tov we allow you one thing that we don't allow you anywhere else. For example, on Shabbat you can't cook. On Yom Tov we're going to allow you to cook. On Shabbat you can't turn on from fire to fire. On Yom Tov we're going to allow you. On Shabbat you can't make shish kebab. On Yom Tov we're going to allow you. Anything that has to do with a person eating, we're going to allow them to do. We're going to allow you to do it on Yom Tov from fire to fire. So that's what he says over here. U'b'Yom Tov shechal b'Motzi Shabbat v'rotzeh la'asot melechet ochel nefesh. If Yom Tov fell out on Mot Shabbat and you want to go ahead and you want to do now a malacha, which is for eating food, v'lo hivdil adam b'tfil, but you still didn't daven Shemona Esrei. Omer Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh. You should say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh, below Shem Malchut, without Hashem's name and His kingship, just like that. Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh leKodesh. Umutar be'malacha, and you're allowed to go ahead and you're allowed to do work. Aval, however, li'inyan ti'ima, however, when it comes to eating food, asur afilu hivdil b'tifilah. It is forbidden, even if you did Havdalah in the Shemona Esrei, shamar v'tadu'enu, that you went ahead and you said v'tadu'enu, because the Havdalah of Shabbat to a regular day versus the Havdalah of Shabbat to a Yom Tov are two different Havdalot. Shabbat to a regular day, it's atachonotanu. But Shabbat into Yom Tov is v'tadu'enu. So that's what he says over here. Aval initima, but when it comes to eating food, asur afilu hivdil b'tefillah, it's forbidden even if you went ahead and you did Havdalah in the Shemona Esrei, shamar v'tadu'enu, that you went ahead and you said over there v'tadu'enu, still we're going to tell you it is asur for you to eat, ad shi kadesh kedin, until you're going to go ahead and you're going to do Kiddush of Yom Tov like the Halacha requires you to do so. So we see over here, Rabotah, a very important concept, and if you pay close attention, a lot of times women are the ones that fall in this halakha. You can even have men that fall in this halakha. For example, before they go to shul, let's say, I don't know, say shul is very late, but Shabbat is already out, right? So people, let's say they daven mincha at 2 o'clock. Now they know the shul is going to start, let's say 5:30, Shabbat is out. Aravit, they're going to start at 6 o'clock. So before the husband goes out back to shul's daven Aravit, he wants to turn on, what do you call those, where they make shish kebab, right? He wants to put the coals inside, he wants to turn on the fire, he wants to have a shish kebab on Yom Tov. He's allowed to have shish kebab on Yom Tov from fire to fire, but he still didn't have Arvit, where he still didn't say the Havdalah blessing of Vatudeinu. Oh, he still didn't say it, and now he wants to turn on the coals in order to make shish kebab. We're not going to allow him. What does he first have to do? he first has to say, Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh le Kodesh. Blessed are you, Hashem, that separates between the Kodesh, between the holy day of Shabbat to the holy day of Yom Tov. And only then he's allowed to go ahead and do the Malacha. He's allowed to prepare whatever he wants to prepare, and then he can go ahead and daven. Remember, Rabotai, in order to allow us to do any form of work, whether it's going to be Amot Shabbat on a regular Saturday night, or whether if the Saturday night came out to be on Yom Tov, if it's a regular Saturday night, you have to say, Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh l'chol. If you did not daven Aravit yet, or if you did daven Aravit but you forgot to say Atah Chonotanu over there, you have to say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh l'chol, or just do the Havdalah, on the Kol Shel Yain, and then you're allowed to go ahead and do the Malacha. So too by Yom Tov. Let's say Saturday night is Yom Tov. If you did not say Baruch HaMavdil ben Kodesh l'Kodesh, you still cannot start any form of Malacha. When it comes to eating, in both scenarios, you're not going to be allowed to eat. In the regular Shabbat case, or Saturday night case, if you didn't do the Havdalah on the Kol Shel Yain, you cannot eat. In the Yom Tov, when Saturday night is Yom Tov, you're not going to be allowed to eat until you do the Kiddush in order to allow you to eat the meal. Rabotai, this will be the Halacha for today. Bezrat Hashem, we will continue with the rest of the Mishnah Berurahs in the following class. Have a great day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.